Good afternoon and welcome to the 24th episode of Ahargana. That's right, we are approaching a quarter century. I am back in the Western Ghats, not in Ooty this time. I am in Baba Budangiri. Baba Budangiri is a spur of the Western Ghats. It juts out from the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats is like this, north to south, and this comes out, kind of like a horseshoe shape, and is very close to Chikmagaluru coffee country. It's not very tall, it's a little bit not as tall as Ooty where I was in the last episode, but it's still up in the mountains I am. And to reach here, I left Bangalore yesterday at around 8 in the morning, and it took me 2 hours to get out of Bangalore. And I was absolutely miserable by the time I managed to clear Nelamangala and get out of Bangalore. Because everybody was leaving Bangalore at that time, it's Christmas weekend. So there is a sea of cars, there is a river of cars flowing out of Bangalore, in all directions actually. But once I cleared Bangalore, I reached Hassan. It was still busy, extremely busy traffic, and I was in a bad mood. I cleared Hassan and I started going towards Belur. That's where the famous Hoysala temples are. Things started getting better, not so busy. Then I reached Chikmagaluru, busy town, but I cleared Chikmagaluru and then a vertical climb for about 45 minutes. In fact, the actual climb is less than 20 minutes. It's very easy driving to get here. But the difference between down in the plains in Chikmagaluru and where I am here is obvious. This is a fantastic place to be in. And I was no longer miserable. All the misery I left down in the plains, and I'm up here in these beautiful jungles of Baba Budangiri. Though it looks like I'm in the jungles, and it is in fact a jungle, but I am in the midst of an organic coffee plantation because Chikmagaluru is coffee country. And there is a coffee plant right next to the camera. You cannot see it, and up there on the slopes I can see coffee plants. The cherries are red and ripe, ready for picking, because this is picking season, December and January, and after that the processing starts. But I said this is an organic coffee plantation, and the word organic is important because in organic plantations they let nature be. They don't tamper with nature. Apart from the fact that they don't use chemical fertilizers, but fundamentally they work with nature. They don't disturb nature, so the plantation is a jungle where they also grow coffee. And that's why you see this nice little waterfall. It's not a tourist spot, it doesn't have a name, it's just there. There are a couple of more in this plantation area I went to, but this one I liked particularly. It's small, cozy, quiet nook, and it flows down as a brook, and the place where I am staying I can hear the sounds of the streams flowing all around and the sounds of birds chirping. Not so much here, but where the place I am staying, there are lots of birds, the tiny birds, but extremely colorful birds. Beautiful place to be in. There is a nip in the air. It's getting close to 4 o'clock in the evening. It's getting a bit chilly, and as you know, the sun goes down, it really gets cold at these higher altitudes. Beautiful place to be in, and I am loving it. But we are not here to talk about nature. Yeah, at least not on this scale. We are here to talk about nature on a much grander scale, on the scale of the sun and the stars. That's right. We are here to talk about Nakshatra Ahoratra. I introduced you to Nakshatra Ahoratra in the last episode. There are 2 Ahoratras, Savana and Nakshatra. So this time we will take a closer look at Nakshatra Ahoratra using Stellarium. So I will show you a star rising, going around and then coming back to rise again. And the duration is what is important. It will take 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds. And I will show you not just one star, I will show you multiple stars rising, going around, coming back to this place where they started, in the same 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds. All of them, all the stars except for one, which is Druva. Because Druva is the pole star and everything else goes around the pole star, Druva doesn't move. And you will see this when I show you the Stellarium animation. And I said rising, going around, coming back to rise again. The rising is not so important. What the real point is that Nakshatra Ahoratra is a duration. So if I see a star up there, 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds later, the star will come back to the same point. That is a Nakshatra Ahoratra, and if that point happens to be on the horizon, then it's rising. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So it is the duration which it indicates which is important, not the fact that a star rises, because a real day always starts with sunrise, right? Not with a star rise. Star rise doesn't create day and night, sunrise does. So Nakshatra Ahoratra, what we are talking about is a duration. And why is the duration important? Because it is this duration which is split into Nadi, Vinadi and Prana, which is the equivalent of hours, minutes, seconds on the English calendar, on the modern timekeeping system. So that's for the next episodes. In this episode, I am going to show you star rising, coming back in 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds, multiple stars. So I am going to roll the animation now. Take a look. Okay, let's get started. In the last episode, I had introduced you to the concept of two Ahoratras, Savana Ahoratra and Nakshatra Ahoratra. And I had used a GeoGebra model. That's a geometric model that I had constructed. In this episode, we will focus on Nakshatra Ahoratra, and I will illustrate that using Stellarium. Now, the model that you see in front of you, you have seen it many times before, but there are some differences here which need to be explained. In the previous episodes, I have always shown you the entire ecliptic, whereas now I am showing you only half the ecliptic. Because I am showing you the ground, the other half of the ecliptic is hidden by the ground. And why am I showing you the ground? Because in the previous episodes, we were talking about slightly longer time frames like Varsha, Masa, Uttarayana, Dakshinayana. But now we are talking about a day. And a day means rising and setting of the sun and the stars. So I want to show you the horizon. And that's what I have done here. This is the horizon. And below the horizon, you cannot see the stars. Now I am showing you the entire Nakshatra Mandala. But below the horizon, you can see only the labels. You cannot see the stars. Also, I am not showing you the sun and the moon and the planets this time, because the focus is completely on nakshatras. You will still see day and night happening, but I have suppressed the sun and the moon and the planets. I am not showing them. Good. Now, this view is not entirely satisfactory for this episode, because only this much of the sky is visible above the horizon. And I want to bring in more of the sky onto the screen. So I'm going to modify this view as follows. So now you see there is a lot more of the sky visible here. But at the same time, there is a tremendous amount of distortion. The horizon now is no longer level, it's become curved. And it is curving in the wrong direction. You would expect it to curve downwards because the earth is round, but this is curving upwards. Now this distortion is happening because Stellarium is fitting 3-dimensional space into a 2-dimensional computer laptop. So I request you to put up with this distortion, because otherwise this is still east, this is still west, and we are facing north. Now, I am also, in addition to the Nakshatra Mandala, I am showing you one more star, which is Druva, which is a pole star. So much for the preliminary explanations. Now, let's get down into the crux of the animation. I have chosen this specific time. The date doesn't matter. I've taken October 7th, 2023. That's not too relevant. But the specific time, 6:54:49, because this is the time when Chitra Nakshatra is rising in the east on that date. So let me highlight Chitra Nakshatra. You still are not able to see it clearly. So let me momentarily remove the ground. There you go. So now you see Chitra very clearly. It is on the horizon. There is visual confirmation that Chitra is on the horizon. It's about to rise. Let me bring the ground back. In addition to this visual confirmation, I will also ask you to look at the angles which I am showing on the left. Out of all these numbers, what is relevant is this number called altitude. That is the second part, 0.0025 degrees. Now, altitude is a measure of how high above the horizon a heavenly body is. So this is saying Chitra Nakshatra is 0.0025 degrees above the horizon. It's practically on the horizon. It's 0.0025. It's practically zero. And that's why I say Chitra is rising. It's on the horizon. Now, I am not able to bring this completely to zero. It's still showing 0.0025 because of a limitation of stellarium. So if you look here on the right hand side, I show you 49 seconds. Suppose I take it down 1 second less to 48. But now this altitude has gone negative, minus 0.0015. It did not go to zero. And negative means Chitra is slightly fractionally below the horizon. No, I don't want this. I want it either zero or slightly above the horizon. So I push it up to 49. It comes to 0.0025 degrees. That is fractionally above the horizon. So in between 48 and 49 is the real time I want, but Stellarium does not allow me to control fractions of seconds. I can't control 48.1, 48.2, 48.3 seconds. So I will live with this 49 seconds. Chitra is on the horizon, 0.0025 degrees at this point in time. Now, let me start the animation. See what happens. Now Chitra is rising. The altitude is increasing, 40, 50, 60, 65. Now the altitude is reducing. That means Chitra is setting in the west. And when the altitude goes to negative, it's below the horizon. But you can see that it's not just Chitra. The entire Nakshatra Mandala is rotating around Druva Nakshatra. So Druva is the pole around which the entire Nakshatra Mandala is rotating. That's why it's known as the pole star. Now let's come back to Chitra. It has returned back to where it started. It's come back to the horizon. Let's once again confirm. Is it on the horizon? I want to take a look there. Yes. It's on the horizon. This is the horizon line. So let me now look at the angle. Did it come back to 0.0025? It came back to 0.0021. It's still got to move a little bit more to get back to 0.0025, where it started. So what is the duration? The difference between these two timestamps is 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds. In fact, it is 4.0905 seconds. That is that little bit more it has to move to come back to 0.0025. But I cannot show you that much of accuracy in Stellarium. So I will stay with 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds. This is the duration of a Nakshatra Ahoratra. Now, I have illustrated Nakshatra Ahoratra using Chitra. In the previous episode, I had illustrated it using Revati, but this time I'm not using Revati because Revati is a very faint star. To show you Revati, I have to zoom in a lot. But I don't want to zoom in, I want to zoom out because I want to show you this movement of the stars. And hence I picked this bright star Chitra. Now, suppose I pick a different star. Will this duration change? Suppose I pick Svati. Now, clearly Svati is somewhere here, it's below the horizon, but it's closer to Druva than Chitra is. That means Svati will describe a smaller circle around Druva. So, will the duration be less for Svati? The answer is no. Svati will also take 23 hours 56 minutes 4 seconds. I will illustrate that to you next. So let me now highlight Svati. I changed the time to 7:16:16. Svati is on the horizon. Let's check the ground. There it is on the horizon. Let's look at the angle. It's 0.00 again. 0018 this time. Marginally above the horizon. Now let me animate Svati. Svati is rising. The altitude is increasing. 50, 60, 70, 80, and now it's decreasing. It's going down, setting in the west. Once again, you can see the entire Nakshatra Mandala is beautifully revolving around Druva Nakshatra. Now I'm waiting for Svati to come back. There it is. And let's wait for it to come to the horizon. And there you go. Svati has come back to the horizon. Let me double check. Yes, it is on the horizon. Look at the angle. Did it come back to 0.0018? No, it's at 0.0015. It is again to move a little bit more. What is the difference between these two timestamps? 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds. And that little bit more it has to move is 0.0905 seconds, which that much accuracy I cannot show you here. So 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds for Svati also. In fact, any nakshatra you take, except Druva of course, will take exactly this time to finish one complete revolution. And this is easy to understand because you know from modern technology that the stars are not rotating, the earth is spinning on its axis. And the earth is spinning very steadily. And this is the time, 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds, that the earth takes to complete one complete spin on its own axis with respect to the stars. And that's why whichever star you pick, this duration of one rotation of the star, one apparent rotation of the star will be the same. Good. Now, so far I have been saying Chitra and Svati rising in the east. I gave a lot of emphasis on the horizon and rising in the east. Now let me expand the definition of Nakshatra Ahoratra a little bit and tell you that it's not necessary to be always looking at rising and setting or rising and rising again. What really matters is wherever a star may be, you start observing 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds later, the star will come back to that same point. That is the definition, not the rising. Rising matters with the sun, because when the sun rises, the entire creation wakes up. But when a star rises, nobody even notices it. It is not that relevant. So what is important is that Nakshatra Ahoratra duration is what is important. And during that duration, any of these stars, wherever you start from, so for example, Rohini is here, in the same duration, Rohini will complete one revolution and come back to the starting point. So let me illustrate that to you. I will highlight Rohini. So there is Rohini Nakshatra and the angle is 41.3524 degrees. It's not 0 because it's not on the horizon. 41.3524. So let me bring my mouse on to where Rohini is. And now I'm going to run an animation again. Watch Rohini this time. I'm not going to move the mouse. I will let the mouse be there. Now Rohini has gone below the horizon. And we will wait for Rohini to come back again on the eastern horizon. And in the meantime, enjoy the play of the nakshatras. And there, Rohini has now risen above the horizon. It's coming back towards where it started. And you will see it's approaching the mouse pointer because that's where it was previously. And there you go. It came back to the exact point where it started. And what is the duration? 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds. And that is the definition of Nakshatra Ahoratra. Horizon doesn't matter, the rising doesn't matter. Wherever it is, after the period of Nakshatra Ahoratra, it will be back there at that same altitude. You can observe it back in the same space. Angle wise, 41.3524 is where it started. Now it's at 41.3529. It has to move a little bit more to come down to 41.3524. Remember, this time Rohini is setting, so the altitude is reducing. And in a few more seconds, or not a few more seconds, in a fraction of a second, 0.0905 seconds, it will come back to 41.3524. But that degree of accuracy I cannot show you here, so we will stay with 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds. So it's all about the duration, not the actual rising of the star. But why is this duration so important? This duration is important because it is this duration which is further subdivided into Nadi, Vinadi and Prana, which on the Hindu calendar are equivalent to hours, minutes and seconds. But a discussion of Nadi, Vinadi and Prana is for subsequent episodes. In this episode, all you have to carry with you is the understanding of Nakshatra Ahoratra as being a fixed duration equal to 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds, not 24 hours. 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds. That is 3 minutes, 56 seconds short of 24 hours. So with that, I will close this episode. Thank you very much for watching. So that was Nakshatra Ahoratra. 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds. In the next episode, we will go into subdivisions of a Nakshatra Ahoratra, and that is Nadi, Vinadi and Prana. There are multiple names for these. Instead of Nadi, it's also known as Gati or Gatika or Galige. So we will go into those subdivisions, and roughly these are the equivalents of hours, minutes and seconds. And I will present to you this idea of Nadi, Vinadi and Prana in the form of a clock. Just like a clock like this, I will show you in the form of a clock. And there are some interesting points we need to discuss, particularly about Prana, what that is. But that's for the next video. So until we get to the next video, once again, thank you very much for staying with Ahargana for 24 episodes. Thank you very much for watching this video. And please inform all your friends and your enemies, if you have any, that there is such a channel which explains the science behind the Hindu calendar. As always, I believe this is a topic which all of us Hindus should be aware of. This is our tradition. This is what we have inherited from our ancestors. So with that, I close this video, and until I see you again next time, take care and bye-bye.